My good and decent fellow Americans, 60 years ago, during my inauguration, I challenged all Americans to simply ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And at this critical juncture in our nation's history, there are those who have asked me, what does John Kennedy think of what has happened to America today? And what would I do about the danger that now surrounds us all? The dilemma we face is the relentless attack we are under by the forces of tyranny from all sides never imagined. Those forces today have metastasized like cancer throughout all branches of our government and our society, and they do not announce themselves in the light of day as to who they are and what they blindly follow. But we will drag them into the sunlight, like it or not, and call them what they cowardly refuse to call themselves. Whether they are cold-blooded Marxists, diabolical communists and socialists, or the self-aggrandizing cabal of globalist elites, proud to call themselves masters of the universe. But they are all nothing more than gutless and sinister masters of deceit, and they are spawned by a deep black whirlpool, seducing them and threatening to pull the rest of us into that abyss. The plans that many of these satanic forces have for us is beyond science fiction, but they have miscalculated ignorantly a certain irresistible force and immovable object all rolled into one that now stares them down like a gunslinger from the Old West, and that is the American founders of this great land. For if there was any gift that the founders had that was so prescient and clairvoyant, it was their wisdom to infuse their understanding of God and man's sinful nature within their great document, the Constitution. Their one dominant, overpowering message towered above all, that man's rights come from God. They are unalienable, and they do not come from any man, any king, his corruptible government, or any group of nefarious nations that will put us under the yoke of their damnable slavery. And if our enemies of today continue this fight, we will persist. We will never surrender. We will march on relentlessly, and we will never waver, falter, submit, or hesitate. We will only prevail. We will roll up our sleeves and put our backs into the good fight, and they will have no chance, because if the tyrannical, the godless and heartless, the mean-spirited and wicked, the jackbooted thugs that they are, think they have a fight with us, well then they have picked the wrong fight at the wrong time with the wrong foe. Because we have already written in stone that they will never muzzle us by making us obedient with their oppressive masks, nor will they inject us with their diabolical contagion to make us their submissive slaves. They will never force us behind their masquerade of protecting our democracy while destroying the rule of one man, one vote within our election system. And they will never cancel our private thoughts, our desire to be free since birth, or destroy the most earth-shaking weapon we have since the dawn of man, the undeniable power of prayer. In the final hour, there can only be one outcome, one determination, one message that spreads throughout every corner of this land. It is the sweet, fragrant smell of freedom and liberty for all under God's grace. It is the only outcome worth having, but we must be willing to pay the price, to bear the hardship, to risk our lives, our fortunes, and yes, our sacred honor. And it is not a question of if that day will come, but when. And when it does, we can stand tall. We can be proud again. We can tell it from the mountaintops that on this day, whenever that day God chooses to declare, on this day we rose to the occasion like the phoenix and spread our wings to crush the evils of tyranny and ignorance. On this day, the world became a more beautiful and loving place. And on this day, we told our grandchildren that we knew we would never waver, we were never fearful, because we knew in our hearts that the Heavenly Father was always on our side, and victory was not just ours, but Almighty God's as well. And if now more than ever there is a battle cry we need for divine inspiration, I say, ask not how your country can fight for you, but how you can fight for God and your country. May He bless each and every one of you and give us all the thundering voice of freedom and liberty to speak.